Hi dear students, myself Anush Isdaran, Academic Director and Biology Faculty of Rankings Entrance Training Academy. I welcome all of you in my new video lesson. Today I am going to talk about Control and Coordination Part 4. As you know, the last lesson we have discussed the control and coordination occur in humans. And we said the process of control and coordination occur in humans with the help of a well-developed nervous system and muscular system. Today I am going to talk about coordination in plants. Dear students, as you know, animals have a well-developed nervous system for controlling and coordinating all the activities of the body. But in case of plants, you can see that they have neither a nervous system nor muscular system. So how the process of control and coordination occur in plants? Students, the control and coordination in plants is done by chemical substances called plant hormones. Plant hormones are also called phytohormones. Have you heard about plant hormones? Yes, there are five main types of plant hormones. They are auxins, gibberellins, cytokinins, abscisic acid, and ethylene. Auxins, gibberellin, and cytokines together called growth promoting hormones. Why? Because these three hormones help to promote the growth of the plant. But the fourth and the fifth hormones, see here, abscisic acid and ethylene together called growth inhibiting hormone. Why? Because they are inhibiting the growth of a plant. These two hormones, they are having some other functions that we will discuss. Now I am going to discuss in detail the characteristic features of all these plant hormones. First one, auxin. You know, it's a plant hormone synthesized at the shoot tip. When you consider this plant, you can see that the auxins are synthesized at the tip of the shoot. Clear? It helps the cell to grow longer. It also promotes the fruit growth. In this diagrammatic representation, you can see that the shoot tip of this plant moves towards the direction of light. Yes? Do you know how it happened? Yes. The plant hormone named auxin behind it. In this diagrammatic representation, you just consider it as a shoot tip. Here you can see the shoot tip actually bends towards the direction of light. How it happened? When the light is coming from one side of the plant, what happened? The auxin diffuses towards the shady side of the shoot. So clear? Suppose you think about when the light is actually coming from one side of the plant, the auxin from this region diffuses to the shady region or shady part of the shoot. The concentration of auxin is very high in the shady parts. This stimulates the cell to grow longer on that side. As a result, what happened? The plant appears to bend towards the light. Because of the action of auxin over here, it increases the length of the cell, okay, as compared to other side. As a result, what happened? The plant part, I mean the shoot tip, bends towards the light. Is it clear? Second one is called gibberellins. Dear students, gibberellins is a plant hormone help in the growth of the stem in the presence of auxins. It also helps in breaking the seed dormancy. Do you know what is called seed dormancy? Dear students, each and every seed they are having an inactive period before germination. That inactive period we can call it as seed dormancy. Okay, if we are using gibberellin, it plays an important role to break the seed dormancy. That means to break that inactive period. Another important action of gibberellin is that the bolting process. Do you know what is called a bolting process? It means the internode elongation. It's commonly seen in plants like a cabbage. Have you seen the cabbage? Yes, it's actually having a rosette of leaves. Okay, in this type of plants, because of the action of gibberellin, what happened? Its internode should elongate. As a result, the entire plant should elongate. Okay, that bolting process or this elongation process is necessary for its flowering and seed formation. So clear? Third one is the cytokinins. It plays an important role in the cell division. That means cytokinins promote cell division. They are present in greater concentration in areas of rapid cell division occur, such as in fruits and seeds. Fourth one is called abscisic acid. I said it's a plant hormone which acts as a growth inhibitor. So clear? They promote the wilting and falling of leaves. The process is called abscission. So clear? The wilting and falling of leaves are called abscission. Hence, the hormone named as abscisic acid. So clear? The last one is called ethylene. You know, it's a gaseous hormone. Ethylene is a gaseous hormone. It promotes the ripening of the fruit and falling of leaves. So clear? This is something about the plant hormones. Let me go to the next topic, that is plant movements. As you know, generally plants are fixed at one place and are immobile, isn't it? However, the plants show movements of their parts. The plant movements are usually on a stimulus response basis. That is, the movements are brought about by definite internal or external stimuli. Have you seen the stem of a plant always moves towards the direction of light? Yes. In that movement, we can see the light is the stimulus. Okay. The plant movements made in response to external stimuli fall into two categories. That means there are two different types of plant movements: tropic movements and nastic movements. Now we are going to discuss in detail the tropic movements and nastic movements. In the first diagrammatic representation, you can see this plant part, I mean the shoot of a plant always moves towards the direction of light. This is the better example of tropic movements. So clear? Here you can see the direction of movement is influenced by the direction of stimulus. Yes, here you can see the direction of this plant movement influenced by the direction of stimuli. That means light. Such type of movements are called tropic movements. You know, all tropic movements are growth movements. Look, as a result of this tropic movement, we can see that the growth of the plants will occur. Hence, all type of tropic movements are growth movements. Some part of the plant you can see, it always moves towards the direction of stimulus or away from the direction of stimulus. Suppose in this case, the shoot always moves towards the direction of light. Such type of tropic movements are called positive tropism. When you consider the root of the plant, it always moves away from the direction of light. That is called negative tropism. Yes, That means if the part of a plant moves towards the direction of stimuli, it is called a positive tropism. If it moves away from the direction of stimuli, it is called a negative tropism. I said all type of tropic movements are directional movements. That means the direction of movement is influenced by the direction of stimulus. Second one is called nastic movements. First of all, I'm saying about an important example. Have you seen the touch-me-not plant? Sensitive plant? Yes, its botanical name is Mimosa pudica. When you touch this plant, what happened? What happened? Its leaves should fold up. Yes, or the drooping of leaflets. Okay, in this type of movement, you can see that the response of the plant part to an external stimulus in which the direction of response is not determined by the direction of stimulus. Yes, the movement of a plant part in response to an external stimulus in which the direction of response is not determined by the direction of stimulus. In this example, when you touch on the plant, which plant? Sensitive plant, its leaves becomes droop down. Here, touch is the stimulus. In this movement, you can see that the direction of stimulus and the direction of movement, they have no relationship. Is it clear? But in tropic movements, we have seen the movement of a plant parts in response to the direction of stimulus. That means they are directional movements. But nastic movements are non-directional movements. Is it clear? That means they are neither towards the stimulus nor away from the stimulus. Better example, folding up of the leaves of a sensitive plant on touching. Is it clear? Now we have to learn different types of tropic movements. Dear students, based on the type of stimulus, tropic movements are different types. They are phototropism, geotropism, chemotropism, and hydrotropism. Okay, that means if the stimulus is light, such type of tropic movements are called phototropism. Okay, if the stimulus is gravity, we can call it as geotropism. Okay, if the stimulus is chemical, the tropic movements we can call it as chemotropism. Okay, and the stimulus is water, such type of tropic movements, what we can say, hydrotropism. Okay, and nastic movements we have already been discussed. It's actually the movements independent of growth. Okay, they are not dependent. The growth not at all dependent on this type of movements. But in case of tropic movements, we have seen such type of movements are dependent on growth. They are growth dependent. Okay. Better example, I said the immediate response to stimulus. Okay, especially in mimosa plants, in sensitive plants. Now we have to discuss in detail different types of tropic movements. First of all, phototropism. What is phototropism? The movement of a plant parts in response to the stimulus of light. Is it clear? The movement of a plant part in response to the stimulus of light. It is called phototropism. When you consider this diagrammatic representation, the shoot tip or the shoot of the plant move towards the direction of light and the root always move away from the direction of light. That means the shoots are actually showing positive phototropism and the roots are showing negative phototropism. Is it clear? Yes. Second one is called geotropism. What is called geotropism? The movement of a plant parts in response to the stimulus of gravity. As you know, the root of a plant always moves towards the direction of gravity. So they are showing positive geotropism. Yes. But you think about the shoot of a plant, it always moves away from the direction of stimulus. Here, the stimulus is gravity. So the shoot of a plant always showing negative geotropism. So clear? Third one is called thigmotropism. What is the meaning of thigmotropism? That means the movement of a plant part in response to the stimulus of touch. Have you seen this type of stem tendril? Some type of plants, they're having some wire-like coiled structures. We can call it as stem tendril. You know, when this type of stem tendril touch on a support, what happened? The stem tendril should wind around the support. This type of movements we can collectively called thigmotropism. Clear? Next one, hydrotropism is a type of tropic movements in response to the stimulus of water. As you know, the root of a plant always moves towards the direction of water. That means they are showing positive hydrotropism. But the shoot of a plant always move away from water. You know, that means the shoot of plants, they are showing negative hydrotropism. These are different types of tropic movements. We have to discuss one more tropic movement called chemotropism. What is called chemotropism? The movement of a plant part in response to the stimulus of chemicals. Better example, the growth of pollen tube. Have you heard about pollination? Yes, transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. After pollination, the pollen grains should germinate to form a germ tube. That germ tube move towards the ovule. Yes, this movement of this pollen tube towards the ovule because of the presence of certain type of stimulus present in the ovule. And this type of movements are collectively called chemotropism. I hope you have understood different types of tropic movements. Other type of movements that we have discussed, it is called nastic movements. I said nastic movements are non-directional movements which are neither towards or away or nor away from the stimulus. Is it clear? Better example we have discussed in case of touch me not plant. Because of touch, what happened? Its leaf should become droop down. Now we have to discuss in detail why Mimosa pudica leaves droop down when touched. As you know, it's a type of immediate response to stimulus. For learning this concept in detail, first of all, we have to learn the structure of leaf. I mean the Mimosa pudica plant leaf. When you consider this leaf, you can see that there is a swollen petiole or swollen leaf base. This swollen leaf base we can call it as pulvinous leaf base. Okay. The Mimosa pudica leaves droop down when touched because of the turgor pressure difference. Because of the turgor pressure difference. What is the meaning of turgor pressure? Turgor pressure means a pressure developed inside a plant cell because of the entry of water in it. That means when a plant cell is filled with the water, a pressure will develop inside the cell. That pressure is called turgor pressure. Here you can see in the pulvinous leaf base having two regions, the upper part and the lower part. Okay, okay. So this process occurs because of the turgor pressure difference between the upper and the lower half of the base of the petiole. This is the upper half and this is the lower half. Dear student, when we touch on the plant, what happened? The cells of the lower half loses water And the upper half cells, what happened? It becomes turgid, means it becomes swollen due to the transfer of water. Is it clear? When we touch on the leaf, what happened? The water present in the cells of the lower half, that should be enter into the upper half. As a result, the cells in the lower half becomes flaccid and the cells in the upper half become turgid. Because of this turgid nature on the upper half, what happened? The entire leaf drooped down. This is the mechanism behind it. Is it clear? I hope you have understood all these concepts thoroughly. Okay, for better understanding, you have to go through this video lesson again and again. Okay, now I would like to wind up. Thank you. Have a nice